Hey everybody, welcome to Casual Sketch episode 4, and in this episode we're going to be drawing Frankenstein's monster. This is Giggy, and if you haven't already, hit that like, comment, subscribe, everything helps. I try to come up with an episode every Wednesday. Ooh, check this guy out. He's awesome. Anyways, let's just hop into it. Right over here you see me looking up reference, and I started drawing the character out without any reference, and I just was not getting anywhere. I realized that, in my mind I thought that I did know what the character looked like. Totally didn't know. So jump into reference. Always get reference. It's not cheating. It's always good to get reference, especially if you're doing a known character like the monster or the creature, because there's certain accepted images. People already kind of have an idea of what the monster looks like, so it's always good to start from a base that is already known, and then you can take it and change out what you think would be cool or fits a different story, or if you're doing this for a game, if he has certain mechanics that you want to add in, you can do those adjustments and still get the authenticity of the character that you're trying to emulate. For this sketch I use Copic markers. I use a C1, C3, and a C5. I start out with a C1, as you can see here, just kind of sketching, blocking stuff in, kind of feeling things out. It's really great to use the C1 because you're not committing to anything. All this stuff will just get sketched over with the darker marker, the C3 or the C5, and in some cases a C7 as well for really heavy shadows. It builds confidence because you can just sketch freely and not worry about too much of a commitment, but still there's a nice quality that the marker brings to the paper, because it actually adds some depth to it, and the sketch lines really make for a nice image. As you can see here, I'm kind of noodling around, trying to feel out the image some more. Not quite sure what I'm doing, but I know I'm like, okay, he needs a heavier brow, because he's Frankenstein's monster after all. So putting a little more detail, just feeling out. And even with the C3 marker, it's still great because it's still not yet a commitment, so you can just keep going and flow, and it feels really good. Oh, I forgot to mention that I have a special guest today. Today I am doing this video with a good friend of mine. He's a gentleman. His name is Jack. He's visiting from Tennessee. And he's not going to say much, but he's definitely going to influence what gets said in this video. Okay, did I mention the importance of reference? So when you're gathering reference for stuff you're doing, it's not just a visual thing. You can also gather reference, especially in a case like this where he's a literature figure. So you can always look up, Wikipedia is a great source. If you know the book, read the book, you can gather from there and get a lot of inspiration from those books. So as I was researching for this episode, I found some really cool stuff. Kind of made me want to read the book, actually, the book Frankenstein. In high school, they tell you, read this book. And I don't know if it's high school, but maybe not my high school. Anyways. But it sparked an interest in reading the book again. And here's the cliff notes of the cool information that I got from there. So let's get on with the main information. So the book was written by Mary Shelley. The book's name is Frankenstein, also known as the Modern Prometheus. It was written in 1818. And in the book, Victor Frankenstein, who's the creator of the monster, a lot of people think that they call this guy Frankenstein, but the monster actually does not have a name in the book. But anyways, Victor, the creator, builds the creature in his lab, and his methods are kind of ambiguous. It's not really well defined, but it consists of a combination of chemistry and alchemy. And in the movies, you see him like with the lightning and all that stuff, and stitch from parts and things like that. But he actually really does not have a name. And it's pretty interesting. The closest thing to a name is he refers to himself, to his creator, Victor, as the atom of the atom of your labors. In contrast, Victor calls him creature, fiend, specter, and other just not flattering names. It shows you what he really thought about his creation. He was disgusted by it. It's kind of a... Anyways, the description of the creature from Wikipedia: he's about 8 foot tall, because this will help dictate how you create the character. But he's 8 foot tall. He's hideously ugly, but sensitive and emotional. These are all really powerful words to kind of like dictate what your character should look like. So even if you're redesigning this character, or you decide you want to go with something else, or update the look, these are kind of the main core values of the character. In the book, the monster tries to fit into human society, but then he is shunned, and it causes him to seek revenge against his maker, Dr. Frankenstein. I don't know if he's actually a doctor, but Victor Frankenstein. Is it me, or does the monster have kind of like a Hulk haircut? He looks like a 90s Hulk. Anyways, random thought. As you saw in the intro, this is a brand new sketchbook, and it's probably one of the most stressful and scary things to start a new sketchbook for some reason. Just opening a brand new thing, it's fresh, it's new, and you want to make a mark, and you want to make everything perfect, and just make sure, there are sketchbooks out there that are so beautiful, like Scott Robertson. Everything is perfect and so like precise that it can be a daunting task to start a sketchbook. For some reason, this one, maybe because I was focused on starting May's monster casual sketch series, I just jumped right into it and I just started marking, and it was wrong because I started sketching Frankenstein's monster, and I quickly realized that I needed the reference. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, sketchbooks should be, even though I'm filming it and showing it to you, but sketchbooks should be a personal thing. You should treat it like nobody's gonna see it. All your ideas are there. By the way, I thought it would be somehow fitting to show that the monster, the creature, loves New York. He's wearing an I Love New York t-shirt. Because he loves New York, I love New York. Anyways, where was I? Okay, sketchbooks. You can draw whatever you want. You can write notes, you can put shopping lists, do whatever. It's not sacred. It's not perfect. It's not usually like what you see on YouTube or all these videos. Just keep in mind that these videos are, even this one, are edited in a way to look a certain way so they can look perfect, they can look beautiful, but really there's a lot of mistakes, and I try to keep as much, I'm doing this real time right now, and I try to keep as much mistakes, kind of figure out stuff, things where I'm fumbling or thinking things through. There's that Hulk haircut again. It cracks me up. 90s Hulk. Anyways, it's not perfect, and it shouldn't be. It should be a way for you to discover and sort through your ideas. Go later on when you make your final sketches and you start figuring things out and you're solidifying your ideas, then okay, and you're ready to show it to somebody, then okay, put the stuff together. But in your sketchbook, feel free. This is yours, Don't put any rules on yourself. Just draw, just create, have fun. Casual. Okay, I guess I forgot to mention, as you can see here, that I've switched into the brush tip Pentel pen. This is a Pentel brush tip inking pen, and I love this pen. I switched into it. I used to use a repeatograph or a very technical type pen, and that just switched over. But earlier I was using the brush tip pencil pen, but I switched into it because it forced me to be looser with my sketches, not take everything when you use a repeatograph or something super technical, you have a tendency to be very stiff, and I would even say that this sketch is very stiff still, but the life is there, or I'm feeling more. It's all about feeling. I'm feeling more free. I'm just sketching, going with my ideas. I like that pen. I like that brush tip pen. All right, I'm pretty happy with the front view. So I usually like to draw a kind of 3/4 profile view to kind of define a little more of the head shape, kind of get the idea, the facial structure, and it's fun to try and emulate. Usually a little inside info, but whenever I do this for a character for a game or something, as you can see, I'm making commentary on this sketch. I've already recorded it. I'm watching it and making the commentary on it, so I know that it's going to turn out a little too long. The proportions aren't going to be exactly the same, and like I was saying earlier, it's a sketchbook. Later on I can scan this in and adjust proportions. But you're just sketching, trying to get an idea. And that's what concept art is about, is grabbing the idea and dropping it down locking that idea in, and later you can work on illustration and fine-tuning, but for now, grab that raw idea and make sure you capture it and have fun in the process too. But as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but later on you'll see that the head is a little longer than the front view, and you can see that I started out with back to the C1, no commitments pen, and just go for it. It's funny because it's showing up pretty dark over here, but all that stuff isn't going to show up in the final sketch, or it'll show up as construction lines, which just, again, makes for better depth. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think of this format so far? Earlier, episode 1, 2, and 3, I tried to, let me start off with saying that this whole thing's kind of an experiment. See what's out there, kind of push myself to just make art every day and explore different avenues, explore, multimedia. I can share my process, and maybe I can get some of you guys to draw along with me. That'd be awesome if you could draw along with me on Wednesdays. Post up your stuff. I don't know, maybe I'll make a Facebook group or something where we can get together, maybe just chill out every Wednesday. But yeah, just kind of get going on the art scene, keep creating, having fun, keeping it casual, as the name implies, casual sketch. But just create and draw along those lines. Do you guys want to see me draw a specific character? I'm doing monsters for the month of May. If you have any suggestions, write it down in the comments. I'd love to look at it and, pick it up, and maybe I'll draw those. It really doesn't matter where it comes from. Could be from, previous books, fiction, movies, just crazy ideas, fish-headed, squid-bodied monsters with fish tails. Everything's fish there. Three-legged, whatever, it doesn't have to come from previous works, but I'm open to it. If it's cool, if it speaks to me, I'll be glad to draw it and film it and talk about it and see your comments and enjoy the feedback and have fun. Okay, back to what I'm doing on the sketch itself. Right here, I'm drawing this bolt, and I'm kind of digging it. I'm thinking to myself, it'd be really cool if maybe it's this electro lead or whatever is stitched in or bolted in, or both, and I'm really resisting, because I'm resisting the urge to want to draw in like stitches and try and part them out together, the cosmetic stuff, because I feel that'll and here I flip it over. It's always good to flip your artwork over just to check it. It kind of gives you a fresh eye on things and see. And as I did that, you'll notice me mention, let me zoom in. You'll notice me realize that, here's the zoom in. But after the flip over, you'll notice me realize that His head could probably be thicker, I guess, front to back, and it's also a little too tall. But again, like I said earlier, it's a sketchbook, and if you're ever wanting to take any of your sketches into a more polished format, polished version, you can always scan it in or just take a picture and edit it in Photoshop, kind of almost like what I did in episode 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 was pretty rough. It was just like, let's get this done and go fast and furious, quote unquote. But if you take your time, you can get some really good artwork. Here we're getting close to the end of the video now, and I'm just shading in, kind of trying to build a little bit of volume. But pretty much, I'm pretty happy with the drawing that I've put down so far, and just doing a couple of finishing touches, making the outlines darker. Any part that you want to pop out in front of, and here you'll see the collar is a little bit darker. Anything you want to pop out in front, make the border line a little bit thicker. And here I'm just adding some color, some blue, just so my sketchbook isn't totally black and white. It's just nice to add a little bit, and then a little more accent color. But yeah, this is the end. Pretty much, I'm happy with it, and you can see here I'm pulling out my stamp. I found these stamps actually like 5 years ago, and in Chinatown. They're nothing expensive. Here in LA, I actually was visiting at the time. Now I actually live here in LA, but they were blank, and I sculpted out my signature in there. And they make these great stamps. I've been using them for a few months now. They were in storage for like several years, but it's nice to make use of them again. And here's the finished product. Anyways, hope you guys liked it. I had a great time. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks again for hanging out, and I'll see you next Wednesday. And as always, take it easy and stay steezy.